Hallo ihr Lieben, ich bin hier heute zu dem 4. Crowd Resilience TV Interview gemeinsam mit meinem lieben Kollegen Dr. Mark Trozzi aus Kanada. Und es freut mich riesig, dass ich ihn persönlich hier treffen kann für dieses Interview. Und wir machen das Interview auf Englisch. Es wird im Anschluss übersetzt werden mit deutschen Untertiteln. Und ja, freue mich einfach riesig. Ich werde ihn euch jetzt mal vorstellen. So, hi Mark.
Hi Maria.
Mark, it's so good that we sit here together.
Oh, it's excellent.
It's really beautiful if we meet in person. It's such a different energy to just be in Zoom meetings, online meetings together. And it feels really good. And we are going to talk about what, you know, is giving you strength, what is motivating you, and how it came that you are so resilient. And I'm looking forward to this interview because it should really motivate a lot of people out there in the world who listen to this video.
Oh, thanks.
So, Mark, if you would be so nice, Mark and I, we are steering committee members of the World Council for Health. And please, Mark, if you could tell us a little about your professional background.
Okay, well, so I've been practicing emergency medicine almost entirely for, 2.5 decades. I was, of course, on what they called the front line, the empty hospital in Canada, at the time that the launch of COVID and the whole manipulation of everything. I've been teaching critical resuscitation, trauma medicine for more than a decade. For, you know, really since after the launch of COVID and the development, at a certain point when I was very aware of what was going on and could see the manipulation of the medical system to be really part of something that's evil, which is not the purpose of medicine. So I've really been focusing more energy than I would normally put into work in full time for the last year and a half plus on public education awareness and you know, supporting the legal teams dealing with the crimes and that's happened against people, and just trying to do my part. And you know, it was such an honor when I got invited to be among the steering committee, and so it's good to be here with you.
Oh, it's
you even on Zoom, you always bring lift up the space. Let's do this. Let's be healthy and solve our problems. So
thank you. It's the same with you, and it's so inspiring. And that's why I will, let the audience know more about so many beautiful people around the world who are in this. Let's call it. It is a fight. It is a fight for freedom. It's fight for bodily autonomy. It's for our kids. It's for our future. So I really want to inspire and motivate so many people around the world to also take action, because it is about taking action. You know, and it's when push comes to shove, it is like this. You know, they are putting the injections into 6-month-olds around the world. They will probably go like they did with all the other things after the FDA, also in Europe. So the EMA will also put out the vaccination for the so-called vaccination C19 injection for 6 months and older in Europe. So I really have to say the time is now, you know, and I always say it's a movement in the moment, you know. There are so many things coming up every moment, and it's really, we have to be very spontaneous in our actions, because we never know what's next. But it's important that we keep moving, and it's a movement in a momentum, and I'd say momentum to it, because go for it and do activism, and whatever you can do to help the people around the world, do it. If it's organizing a rally, if it's doing educational videos, whatever. So, and you're doing such a lot. You're working together with all these lovely freedom groups in Canada. So, and you're having your webpage. Probably you want to let the audience know about your webpage.
Sure. So, so drtrozzi.org is...
Trozzi is written Trozzi.
Yeah, that's right. And so, for instance, there, one thing that's there, I mean, there's so much there, and we're working on indexing it. But, every day there's newsletter and post, often a global and a Canadian flavor, often like calls to action when they're urgent. Like we have a very dynamic audience that that does stuff and reads stuff and shares stuff. For people new, especially given our current situation, something from last June I still recommend is very valid. It's there as a video or written in 23 languages. Wow. I hope our translations are good.
I think the translation programs that are automatically done, they are quite okay. You know, you would get the sense. Probably the grammar is not always perfect, but it's good so we can share the message. So use that technology, you know.
Yeah. So there's one article there and video called COVID Vaccines. How dangerous are they? And it's just, I mean, it's a bit, you could see how the scientists on whose shoulders we stand as clinicians and activists, how the science, we knew last June what was going to happen from these injections would happen. And so in there's a very broad understanding that everyone can access of fairly deep science of what these injections are and what they do and what they're intended to do. So not only can understand what's happening, like now in Canada, 3 times the infection rate on the triple injected than people who never took the injection. So there's all these other dangers, but in terms of COVID, you're a lot worse off as predicted.
Yeah.
But anyways, so that's one thing I recommend. And then, you know, I have to put a shout out to, there's so many great Canadian other partners in this, like Take Action Canada, .ca, Strong and Free Canada, Bright Light News, Canada COVID Care Alliance, Canada Health Alliance. So
cool.
There's a lot of us, and we're all members of the World Council for Health.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of hope in the world to get the good. There's amazing people rising up, and more, and.
Yeah, and we know that your Prime Minister, aka Crime Minister, I love that a lot, to say that a lot.
Yeah, it's very bad.
He was also in Klaus Schwab's Young Global Leaders Academy.
Yeah.
So enough about that and about him. So now it's about, you know, getting action, and we need to be strong to do what we do.
Yeah.
So if I may ask you, what made you so resilient in these times?
Well, I think I would go 2 different ways with that. So one would be about the motivation in a way, and the other would be about method.
Yeah.
So not sure where to go first. I think maybe we'll go with method. In other words, all of us have methods that through life and through process have evolved. You know, and of course, nutrition and hydration and exercise and love and friendship and hugs and honesty. There's so much stuff.
Yeah.
But I've always, you know, in this element of how do you stay calm and not become part of fear and then be manipulated through fear? How do we remain clear and at peace? And sort of, you know, as they say, though walking through the shadow of the valley of death, fearing no evil, right?
Yes.
So I have 3 things that predate this that, you know, came over the years. You know, I'm not very smart, so this one, and then 10 years later, I figured this one, then 10 years later. So in 30 years, I figured out 3 things for this state of mind. I'm no expert, but, you know, to share my own little.
Yeah.
So one thing is to practice thankfulness.
Yeah.
Not, you know, a lot of people say, well, you should thank God because it's rude not to. Like if somebody gives you food, you should at least thank. I guess there's an element of that, but it's true that practicing thankfulness is actually good for the person practicing thankfulness.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of times when I'm facing things, and we're all facing things, I mean, medical apartheid, financial sanctioning, I mean, I'm in it, I get it, right? But if I just even, you know, say, hey, you know, thank you that I have hands. Thank you that I'm here with my friend Maria and that she's such a hero and so wonderful. You know, thanks for this comfortable chair. Thanks that our eyes are working. Thanks for the air, the oxygen. I mean, you can go all day.
Yes.
So if people say, I wish I had something to be thankful for because feeling thankful feels good, you could start right here, go here. Just thank away.
Absolutely.
So that's one of what I call the 3 pillars that I use to stay sane. Another is to recognize the beauty in things, which is very connected. You know, to look at a friend and say, you're so beautiful and wonderful. Or to look at a plant and say, oh, look at those plants through the window, how beautiful they are, you know.
Yes.
So recognizing beauty. And then the other one kind of surprised me, although it's probably obvious to a lot of people, you know, where I think if I translate Buddha's essential teaching is to let go of the angst or to set down desire, you know. And I have a lot of desire, like even desires for the world to be better and stuff like this is not bad. But just to be able to sometimes take a break. And I think of it like, here's my backpack with everything I carry. It's important stuff.
Yes.
Trying to help this and trying to take care of that and making sure we have food and all these things as a backpack. But sometimes just to set it down and say, I don't have to carry it right now. And to say for a period, 10 minutes, whatever it is, I'm going to stop wanting. And it surprises me how those 3 things together, when I set down desire, then I'm no longer trapped in the past and future and fear and this. I say, you know what, for 10 minutes, I don't care.
Yeah.
Right? Not to be reckless, for 10 minutes, nothing, everything that comes like a worry, I say no. And then one becomes so present in the moment, and then that thankfulness and that recognition of beauty, it's a nice little cocktail. For me, that's my, stressful day, shoot down one of those triple shots.
Super. I love it so much. Wow. The method is just great. And your motivation behind it?
So the motivation, I mean, that's an interesting one. It's funny. I'm not someone who like always thinks of like ancient verses and things, but in the last couple of years, one really stood out, and it's an old verse quoted as Jesus saying in the Gospels, where he says, the translation I think I like the best in English, of course. I would have liked to read it by Luther in original German, but is you cannot serve God and be a slave to money. So in my little bubble of life before COVID, I had a job that I loved. I still have it, but right now the emergency is what we're dealing with. You can't be an emergency doctor and say, I'm going to stitch the toe when they're trying to kill off the children, right?
Right.
So, and everybody has a part in terms of my part. But the thing that's great about my job is I got paid well to do my job. I specifically structured it so pay wasn't my main focus. I didn't have to think about money much. So I could go to work and practice the essential law of my existence, which is the golden rule: to do unto others as I do unto myself, or to practice love and diligence. So I always told my students, listen, we don't have to be super smart. What we have to do is love them and try. Let's try hard and use love. Everything's going to work. So for me, it was like, wow, like I get to go to work and practice my belief system of practicing love and compassion and get paid. Like, how easy for me. Like, Jesus had to do this, or Martin Luther did this, and look at Mahatma Gandhi. And, but I was in this weird bubble because I could practice the love every day and get paid. I wasn't a slave to money. I served the thing. Well, anyways, when COVID came along and when the banksters and Bill Gates started greasing the death machine and getting cooperation all the way down through legal manipulation and through money, because everyone's giving the shots, getting a little extra, everyone administrating, every government saying it, you'll see money.
Just follow the money, then you know what's going on.
So when COVID came along, suddenly I had to choose, right? Because now, believe me, as you know, we could have made more money, worked less, Zoom meetings, have a nurse giving injections, and get like huge fees for having someone in another room, pop. It's an emergency, so this is emergency code, as if I do emergency work, right? Where I work for my little money, right?
Yes.
Anyways, so at that point, things changed, and there had to be a choice. Are you going to serve God? Are you going to serve love, compassion, or however you want to define the creator or the spirit or the essence or love? Am I going to serve this, or am I going to serve the money?
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a happy decision. I wasn't like, oh, great, I'm going to go broke.
Yeah.
No, but it was a clear decision. Like there it was written on the stone wall. You cannot serve God. And so it became very obvious, the divergent. For some reason, my critical reasoning was working more. As you know, some of us worked more through the manipulation of the minds. And so, and then not only that element to say, no, I'm going to do the right thing. So I took they call the golden handcuffs doctors. Why don't you do other business? Oh, because I get paid too, so I always do this. I said, I'm leaving my job. I'm losing all my income. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. But if you own me while you're being owned, I cannot do what I must do.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, so people said, well, Mark, you're losing everything. You lose your house, sell your house to support your mission and everything. But here's the thing. If you understand what their plan is, if you go WEF, you will own nothing and you will be happy. Oh yeah, we're very happy. Please don't shoot me. So where people are clinging to this money, which is just being, it's a joke. The fiat currency is just being blown up. So to me, the part where people said, you make such a sacrifice, it's like, no, I know if we didn't try to fix the ship, it's going to sink. So what's the sacrifice?
Yeah.
So, if my grandchildren or my friends or your beautiful son or people I love, if they're going to have a future, we can't go along with this stuff.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my motivation side.
Wow, super. So that really brought so much light on so many topics, that people probably would not have thought about by now. And this is what I really want to do with this, TV, this Crowd Resilience TV. We will have a episode every second week, and it's so inspiring. It's so inspiring what you just said, and people will love it and get, something out of it for themselves. So I really can only say it is like it is. We are here in this together, and if not now, when? And if not we, who else, And that's what we really have to think about. And we are so happy to do so much more positive work with all our friends at the World Council for Health and all our coalition partners around the world. And we are getting more and more and more, and I think we will win this together.
Yes.
For our kids, for our future.
Yes.
For us.
Amen.
Yeah, amen. Okay. So thank you so much, brother,
thank you, Maria,
for doing this beautiful interview.
And to you.
And thank you so much for all the work that you're doing for all of us.
Oh, likewise. I hope that your audience and your friends and everyone in Austria realize how much we appreciate you all around the world. She's loved all around the world. She's a real gem of Austria. And we're going to make a brass statue of you in the park, even if you say no.
No, I say no. Okay. Schaltet auch bitte beim nächsten Mal wieder ein. Es wird jetzt jeden Freitagabend österreichische Uhrzeit um 20:15 Uhr eine neue Episode geben. Alles Liebe, bis bald. Ciao.